Welcome to the Witch Hunt. This chapter is called Agony, and the reasons for this will become very clear at some point. Every sister is at risk. Now that I've opened all the chambers, they rely entirely on me. But I can't see the brothers acting kindly to my gallant intervention. History has not favoured sympathisers of those accused of witchcraft. But I seek something more important than my own life, and for that I need the sisters. Besides which, I am inexorably tied up with the feud between them. I've already killed 4 brothers, I've gone way past pushing my luck. So I can either triumph or fail, as Sanctuary has never really been an option.
I'm Violet. Don't think that I doomed this limit to starvation on my own will. It's the law. That's how life is. Yes, the void doesn't live long, but one void doesn't make the whole man, just part of his life. The whole man is a chain of limits, the entire chain. Each void receives only a certain amount of color, depending how strong his spirit is. And most are not very strong. But if the spirit makes use of the color correctly, the spirit rises to the next step of perfection and continues to live. Or begins to. Never mind. Understand me as you wish. That's how life is. Can you tell me, Spirit, how you plan to make use of me?
This has been the key question for some time. The sisters have asked me repeatedly whether I know how to use colour, berating me for having no idea without telling me how I should be acting.
I will bring you luck.
And as colour says, it doesn't matter how powerful the spirit is, it just matters how they use what they are given. If I had 5 times as much and couldn't work out that I was supposed to use it completely selflessly, then I would be even worse off. I do have to be selfless, but that's not the entirety of it. At least I don't think so. Yanni doesn't think so. Some of the other sisters have suggested there is more to it. Colour seems to think that there is another interpretation, one I have to work out for myself, of course. And I have made up my own mind. I do mean my own, it's unique to me. I can only hear so much, and can only be pulled in so many directions, before I decide that the only way to truly find out is to do it myself, and come to my own conclusions when I get there. Hell, I can give a real example. I've recently decided to become a composer, be a 100% solo artist, and try and put something out there. It may fail horrendously, and most people seem to think that's the case, but I won't know until I've actually tried. I haven't made much headway, but it's absolutely a side project. I have 5 or so side projects that take it in turn being my absolute obsessions. Just really trying to grasp that you can do whatever the hell you want mentality that everybody knows about, but not that many people actually try and follow. Back to the game, I have 3 sisters left to feed and plenty of colour, and as soon as this is over, I'm going to head to Olay.
We accuse this sister of an attempt on the Creator's life. We will subject her to a trial and test her for heresy.
As quick as that, Ira is targeted. The brothers won't attack her instantly, they need to get over there, so I've got to keep a constant watch on her. Who they choose is completely random, as usual. It's more on your terms than you think, so I can still spend my colour on Olay and come out fighting. One thing while I have the time, a huge thanks to everyone wishing me good health, based on the state my voice was in last episode. Normally I'd leave that there, but we all enjoy conclusions to little mysteries. As you can hear, I am far from unwell, but our voices change progressively, or at least mine does. It might be a little higher and faster if I'm running on adrenaline. I have a bit of a twist to it if I haven't eaten for a day and a half. Or it might be a bit of a growl if I'm in an odd position and haven't spoken for a while. Usually I make sure I have at least some elocution and in the process reach a different tone, but I thought it would make an interesting change if I didn't bother for once, so I only started putting it on about halfway through. Your group concerns were still very touching and maybe a little bit amusing, but I'm happy that I can now allay them. Olay here is still turned towards us, awaiting our entrance, hoping that maybe we'll be able to answer her this time. Even if I could speak, I still don't have those answers. Hopefully she'll be happy with just a little more life, as she seems to, well, liven up, as a result of my donations. As the only sister with a prop that is wholly recreational, it seems a shame that she's not using it. I'm using almost entirely gold since I've still got a lot of it planted, whilst the violet famine continues. A minor act of judgment with potentially major consequences.
It's so strange here. What town is this?
I've heard this before.
I saw a moon
Yes,
in a well
she's
of
talking
shining
about Godsend.
clouds.
She does have a glitch where she
was
gets
so
stuck
beautiful.
in her animation, but
Then
I don't think this
suddenly
is one.
something fell.
Perhaps the save file I'm using
girl,
hasn't activated this
Radiant and
bit of
shining,
conversation for some
with
reason.
wings. She was in tears.
It is a
Since
nice
she
image
landed,
though,
she's
an
been
angel
dashing
crying
around
because it has to
restlessly.
walk upon the earth.
I can't tell.
Okay, I'll skip ahead. There was a bug where if you came to talk to her, she would turn to you and just stay fixed like that. The animation would play, but nothing would happen. I postponed my visit and she was fine next chapter, so that seemed to solve it. I think some fairly particular things need to happen to trigger the problem, but there is a workaround.
I've been watching her again. Godsend. And you know what? I think she's preparing to give birth to a new life. She moves like an animal, as if she's searching for a safe place. Like a bird, looking for a place to build a nest.
She's finally given up trying to ask questions, instead describing Godsend behaving how we were supposed to behave, keeping quiet and getting on with things rather than causing trouble like we did. I really doubt that I'd settle for it in the same way, but it would have been nice to have the option. She's actually becoming quite responsive to us now. I don't feel so bad about leaving her here anymore. Before, it was like I was distracting her with no actual hope, but I think she could have hope and it could be well-founded. Only time will tell. It still feels strange to leave. There is another Easter egg over here. I found it myself. Anything that involves climbing I'm quite adept at. You can get on top of here. I don't think I'm doing it quite right. You can just turn around and do it this way. This is quite a small one. Maybe it's a small, square, mildly furnished room inside the teapot.
Silent fishes that swam with the waves. Starfish of the drifting seas. Creatures invisible to the eye. In a word, life. All life, completing the dreary cycle imposed upon it, has died out at last.
Again, it's the Seagull by Chekhov, just a small fragment of it.
How do I return? How can I ascend?
The room doesn't have a point, except to top up the surrealism in case it was starting to wear off. And now we continue, and I've used up most of my gold, so I'll keep a hold of that. Since we've just been to Olay, have some more conjecture. She seems to be partially in the real world, as if our limit overlaps with the one above. Maybe she can move sideways into it, and without the help of illusions it could take a lot of power. even then she'd be at the lowest point of the limit above, and have to work her way back up. We started in this void at the bottom. The void itself seems to be vertical, and if that's the case, it seems that the base of the void where we started would overlap with the limit below us. This is why it was relatively easy for us to get snagged from the outside, and also why each void is a struggle in itself. We've spent our entire time here constantly climbing upwards and upwards, which is necessary to even attempt breakthrough. That is why the ADIT, the horizontal mine, exists. We move sideways into death since it overlaps with the nightmare.
You're wasting nerva from your hearts.
That also means that this void encompasses the deathly emptiness of the world below, and the spark of colour-rich life found in the world above. The difference between each limit isn't that much at all, since all of the progression occurs within the void itself.